Sing it, Schwabber. Sing it, Schwabber. Come on. Sing it, Schwabber. Do it. Let's hear ya. There it is. Here we come. And that's it. It's time. The show has started. Welcome to the Sports Porch Pittsburgh. We are currently live on Facebook, Twitter, YouTube, and LinkedIn. Got to get that in there because a lot of people are starting to listen to our podcast more and more and more.
Are they?
Yeah, they are. And we do
From
drop
LinkedIn?
from our podcast.
It is a business.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
Yeah.
No, from our podcast. He always has to screw everything up. So
He just doesn't believe people listen to us on LinkedIn.
yeah, no, Pat on Track does. Anyway,
Yeah,
look,
I mean-
I'm already off track and I'm not even Pat. Okay, so
Well, I mean, it is the dead zone, so we can have some filler in the beginning. I think.
Sure.
Yeah.
A little bit of filler.
yeah, we
Never hurt anybody. Never
Nothing.
heard anything.
nothing
Little
good,
filler never hurt a biller.
nothing good coming from this at all. Anyway, we are live across all those social media platforms. So if you're part of the show, if you want to be part of the show, drop a comment. We'll get you into the show. We want to hear what you guys have to say. And visit us on theporcheslive.com, theporcheslive.com.
Theporcheslive.com.
There you go. There you go. And you can leave us a message there as well and catch the podcast. We drop it right after this show every Monday at 7:30 on the iHeartRadio app, Apple Podcasts,
We do.
Spotify, anywhere you get your podcasts.
Anywhere.
And you can also listen to us every Sunday evening, catch a recap on American Busker iHeartRadio.
Evening?
Every
100
Sunday evening.
4 p.m. Eastern time.
That's more like late afternoon.
Dude, that's evening for me.
I'd say
Whoa,
it's,
really?
no, I
Yeah.
would
You're
say
getting old.
yeah.
I would say it is late afternoon.
I would say it's time to fold the laundry afternoon.
Evening
on the
evening is
sports
at
porch.
best 5 p.m. at best.
Yeah. Okay. All right.
At
So
best. I agree.
hey, listen, guys, thanks for being here. I guess all of that was to say thanks for being here. And also, you get your Buccos report after every Pirates game. So you're going to get a Buccos report tonight. And that's going to be the first thing that we talk about tonight. Okay.
The Buccos.
I had this ticker up here a while ago, a couple weeks ago. Are the Pirates for real? Okay. And
Your assessment?
my
I bet it's different than it was a few weeks ago.
I'm going to change that to, is the ship sinking? And let me tell you, I so desperately, so desperately,
You wanted it.
I don't want
Wanted-
the ship to sink.
No.
Okay. And full disclosure here, I
Throw it all out there. Give it to us full.
I'm gonna give you the full Monty. I am a baseball fan. Okay, so I would love nothing more than to see the baseball team do well, and we all know what the history is. So when the Pirates, rattled off those 7 straight wins earlier in the year, and then they're over 10 games over 500, I started doing the Buccos reports, and I was enjoying them. Okay.
Mm.
That's
And
fun.
and again, I've said this again and again. This is, Steve inspired me because of the 82 hockey games that he did in the
I
playoff,
inspired you
the
because of the
playoff
playoff.
stuff. Yes. And DG is in the house. What's up, DG?
David.
And
And you began feeling like you weren't holding up your end of the bargain.
exactly.
Mhm.
Exactly. No, I thought they got off to a good start. Why not? So I'm going to get into some statistics. As a team, the Pirates are batting .249. Their on base percentage is .328. So average. Okay. Average, not horrible, but not great. Okay. The top hitters on the team, Delay is batting .383. Now he's only played 17 games. But on the record, Reynolds, Joe, and Reynolds is batting .307. He's the team leader. He's got 39 hits and 23 RBI. So he's not having a bad season. There's been a lot.
Good season.
Yeah. And it's early.
307. I mean,
Yeah.
that's pretty damn good.
There's been a lot of people on social media who have said Reynolds just signed that great big deal. So now he's going to, basically suck, which
Well,
I
They
completely
didn't sign him
with.
like a $50 million deal.
Yeah.
I mean, he's an average guy.
Yeah, I mean,
making an average, maybe above average salary.
Right. I mean,
Right.
what's the highest batting average he's ever had? Around 300?
Yeah, maybe
Yeah.
a little less.
So
Sawinski's leading the team with 7 home runs. Joe has a 360 on base percentage. As a team, they have 48 stolen bases. That kid Bay, I talk about him a lot. 14 stolen bases this year already.
He's injured now, right?
I think he's got some kind of maybe you guys need to look that up.
Him and Kutch got injured, but they're
Yeah.
like not anything serious.
Yeah. Well, Kutch really started cooling off because he fell all the way down to like a 230 average.
Well, I mean, he's an old guy.
Yeah, and Santana's cooled down as well.
Yeah.
Kind of becoming what he always was.
Yeah, which is regular.
Right.
Yeah, maybe a little above average once in a while. But look, Reynolds, Hayes, Sawinski, 5 stolen bases each already.
Right.
Santana, 4. I think the most he ever had in a season was 2. Kutch has 4 stolen bases. So, pitching, Velasquez, you talked about him once. Okay.
He's horrible.
Well, he does lead he got hurt, so he hasn't had a chance to be horrible yet.
It sounds like Vince Velasquez.
There you go. And, I
pitches
think,
well, gets injured.
Right.
Mitch Keller is his year turning around. He's currently at a 3.32 ERA.
He's played well.
He has.
He's playing well tonight as well.
They have 18 quality starts as a team. They were off on a tear, and then look, they ran into a wall, which is the American League East. Okay.
They played good teams.
And they did play good teams. What I expected was that they would play Tampa Bay a little closer than they did. And I expected that they would score more runs against Toronto than they did. And it was the exact opposite. So combine that with the loss of the final game in the National Series, when they dropped 23 on the Nationals to start the series, their bats went quiet after that, and their pitching just turned right upside down. Other than the bullpen, a couple, guys in the bullpen not throwing well, but the rest of the bullpen is doing okay. But, they ran into that wall. I really thought that after getting swept by Tampa Bay, that coming home with Toronto, their pitching is not that great, that they would have a chance to turn those bats around. And they did not do it. Okay. I don't know what to tell you. I mean, I'm going to keep doing the Buccos reports. But is the ship sinking? I already know what your answer is going to be.
No, you don't.
But no, maybe I don't. Yeah, that should have been.
No.
Right. Yeah, that's I should have.
Thank you.
So, okay. So
they might tread water for a little bit. I mean, they'll get themselves out of this losing streak, and the good part of what they've done this season is they build up a little cushion. So they're still 5 games over 500 amidst this bad losing streak. So, I mean, to be honest, I think their goal should be to try to be at maybe game 2, 3 games above 500 at the All-Star break, and at least be in play for a wild card a little later in the season. It's possible.
Yeah,
I agree with that. Also, the NL Central is horrible.
That was the other thing I've been talking about.
I'm looking at the NL Central now, and there's nobody with a win streak in the last 10. I know the Buccos are 3-7 in their last 10, with the seven being the last 7 games.
Yeah, what happened to the Cardinals?
But the Cardinals are just horrible.
I mean,
they're 2-8 in their last 10.
I mean, the Cardinals are usually they're like, you put them down in the playoffs every single year.
So I mean, it's much too early to scoreboard watch. But if you're looking at this division, you're thinking, wow, this division is really terrible. So even if they do what I call a regression to the mean, which is what they're doing, they're going back to who they are. Yes. All teams do it throughout the season.
True.
Then it still isn't terrible.
Right.
Because the division is terrible. And who knows? I mean, I'm going to remain optimistic. I'm not going to say I told you so, because it's predictable. The season's just too long. Like I said, I will jump on the sinking ship or the floating ship in July when they're still, battling for that wild card. And at this point, nothing tells me that they can't be.
Right.
Because they just didn't get timing hitting in the last several games, and their pitching has kind of came back to where we expected it to be. Right. So, and they played really good teams. So
yes,
let's see what happens, against the Rockies. The Rockies are a terrible team. they can take 2 out of 3 from them and get back to this 500 stuff. I think that's okay. I think that's the best you can expect from the Pirates at this point.
Who do they have coming in after the Rockies? Because I know they play 2 against Detroit, but I think it's
Let me look.
yeah. I had it. They have it's the Orioles.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
So that's
Yeah.
not good.
No.
Although maybe
Yeah.
the Orioles are going to start regressing
Yeah.
to their mean.
They might.
They might. The one positive thing about the Orioles, though, is that they have been working on bringing up guys from their farm system for the last 5 or 6 years, and they've really rebuilt that system. So they have some true players. Now, last year was the year they put it all together. This year is this the year they mature? So
Probably. I mean, when you put it together for 2 or 3 seasons like that,
right.
chances are you're going to have a season where it's just going to be rock solid. And you're just going to be a very good team.
Right. And my buddy from York, Jeff, is in the house. Hey, Jeff, what's up? Good to see you. Yeah, I mean, every time I do a Buccos report now, I feel for you after the Penguins started to struggle.
Yeah.
Even though you enjoyed doing them, it was really hard. It's really hard to talk about.
You start to see a trend in the opposite direction, right? And you're
Right.
like, okay, when are they did they hit bottom? Was this the game they hit bottom? Like, that's where you're like, okay, I think this is it. Like, they really hit bottom here, and then they go another level lower. And you're like, oh man, if they're really that bad, like, are they even a playoff team? Will they ever win another game?
Yeah. Well, that's where I am with the Pirates right now.
You start thinking about those things, and you can go into some very dark places.
I did see that. I did see that the attendance, and I've been clamoring for attendance when they were winning. The attendance yesterday was 21,000. Okay. So what, did they have a giveaway, or was it because it was a rainy Sunday?
Usually Sundays.
Yeah,
are giveaway
Sundays.
days.
Yeah,
Probably
Sundays.
a bobblehead.
Yeah.
Well, and it's the middle of the afternoon. But you're right. If the weather is terrible, people tend to stay away.
Right.
So-
Right.
And they're all walk-ups, right?
That's right.
It's not like they're selling
Season
20,000 season tickets.
Yeah.
What do they have? Maybe 6,000 or 7,000, I would think.
I have no idea.
Maybe 12.
You're probably close to right.
So
We could look that up if we really cared.
No,
Yeah.
we don't that much
Yeah.
because it's not really that important. But we
No.
know that Nutting is getting his money, and it doesn't matter.
No kidding. No kidding. Okay, so that's kind of where I am on that. I mean, tonight we have a game. Currently, what do we got a score here? It's the bottom of the 5th. 2 outs. They got 2 men on.
Yep.
It's still 0-0. See, this is what I don't like. This is the part that is bothering me. Okay.
What is bothering you?
The fact that they cannot hit bad pitching.
Yeah.
That to me is a sign that your younger players they're not ready yet. Okay. And I like Sawinski. I liked him last year. I still like him this year. He's got pop in his bat, and I think he plays a pretty sound game. But what you can see is when they are losing, you've got these younger hitters and they start to lose patience at the plate. And that's when you're going up against bad pitching or pitching that is below average, you start to press, and it makes that pitching better because you're swinging at bad pitches, because you so desperately want to put the ball in play, and it's hard to have patience. But I don't know, guys. If you guys are watching and you have any comments on this, let us know. I don't know. Is the ship sinking? Yeah, I don't think it's sinking, but it's definitely taking on a lot of water now.
It's the end of the inning. They did not get the runners in.
Thank you so much. I appreciate that.
But Sawinski, I was looking at him. He's hitting 241, and that might not sound that good because he was hitting 300 for a while.
Right.
But in all reality, like if we look at what could Sawinski be, right? Now last year, can't have it. Hit 202.
Yeah, well, I think they called him up halfway through the year. He didn't play a full year.
You're correct.
Right.
But 202 is 202.
Right. Yes.
Right.
Yes.
And so you can't have that. But you can be a home run hitter and hit 250.
Right.
You know,
Mhm.
so he needs to keep the average about where he is. And let's see if he can hit 25 home runs, maybe 30 if he, really starts to develop and kicks it into another gear. He hits, that's like a comparison on the Phillies as a Reese Hoskins.
Right.
He hits 250, he hits 30 home runs, he gets 85 RBIs. That's a
Mhm.
good ball player.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
So even though it seems like he's kind of coming back to the mean, it's still, a progression for him.
Yeah.
And that's the way you have to look at several of the players.
Yeah.
Most of the players actually.
Yeah. Well, the problem is it's the age old problem with the Pirates. They don't even allow things to go to a progression. You still have to wonder if any of these guys are going to be on the team come the trade deadline, good or bad. So this is going to be, I guess I'm just not feeling great about it anymore. I was feeling so good. When's the last time they were 10 games over 500?
Probably a long time ago.
More.
It's been 10 years at least. So, all right, guys. Well, we're not going to belabor the point there. I want to thank you for listening to the Sports Porch Pittsburgh podcast on the iHeartRadio app, Apple Podcasts, or anywhere you get your podcasts. And of course, you can catch us on theporcheslive.com, theporcheslive.com,
theporcheslive.com,
and on American Busker iHeartRadio every Sunday at 4 p.m. I say it's evening because I'm tired. These guys say it's more like late afternoon.
Late afternoon.
That's Eastern time, 4 p.m. Eastern time, which would actually make it 1 p.m. on the West Coast.
Which would be
very early. Yeah.
Mid-afternoon.
Mid-afternoon.
Yes.
Right. Or like 10 p.m.
You could say it's evening in London.
Right. I was just going to say that. Yeah. It's like 10 p.m. London time.
So our British audience.
Yeah. We do have we have an audience. We have people that listen from all around the world.
I know.
Yep. That's because Pittsburgh is so famous. That was incredible. You've got an incredible accent.
Thank you.
All right, and I'll drop a Buccos report after the game, after everything tonight. Okay, moving on here. There really is no Steelers stuff to talk about. OTAs are starting, right? Aren't camps starting soon? No, not camps. Not starting soon. OTAs are starting.
Do we know any of the numbers of the draft picks?
What do you mean?
Of course.
What are the numbers? I mean, somebody. Let's see.
Nobody's wearing the number 0.
I mean,
right.
Is
anybody wearing
Broderick Jones?
Is Broderick Jones wearing 77?
He is.
Is he?
Yeah, he is.
That was a total guess.
No, you know why he is?
Wow.
Because that was the number of his the guy that got killed in the car. So he's wearing it as a tribute to him.
I thought maybe it's because how tall he was.
Yeah. Actually, I thought
7'7".
I don't know. I just thought like 77 would look good on him because he's so big.
Yeah.
Like that.
I think I might have seen him.
That.
Maybe he wore that in college.
No, he actually wore 59, and I'm like, oh wow, wearing Jack Ham's old jersey. That would be very interesting. But he's gonna be a tackle. And I think there are kind of rules, like they have to wear a 70 number.
Yeah. Right.
And then I'm like, okay, of the 70 numbers, which one would be a good number? Well, you can't wear 75, clearly.
Yeah.
And so 77, I was like, yeah, 77, that'd be a good number.
So there's not going to be a 0 on the Steelers.
No. What's his name wanted to wear 0?
Who?
The kicker.
No,
the punter they released.
No, it was a wide receiver. Maybe it was
Pickens.
No, it wasn't Pickens. Oh,
He's
was
14.
No,
right?
I think it was the tight end wanted to wear a 0, and they were like, no.
Washington. Well, Jeff Paul.
Don't you have to petition the league?
I don't know. Jeff Paul
they voted on it. You can do it.
Yeah.
DeAndre Swift is going to wear 0 for the Eagles.
Yeah,
but the Eagles have to allow him to wear a 0.
Yeah.
Well, yeah.
But why would you not allow people?
Well, I don't know. I think that's what happened in this case. I think the tight end wanted to wear a 0, and they were like,
we have no 0s on the Steelers.
There's probably some stupid rule.
Yeah.
The Steelers are too important to have the number 0.
Right.
Well, of course they are. So Jeff says they listed them all on Facebook. I guess Washington is 80. Hey, good evening, Janice. It's nice to see you here again. Thank you so much.
Back.
Don't worry, I'll be over to take your garbage out after the show, Mom. That's why. That's, the
That's
only
why
reason,
she came in.
That's the only
Chris,
reason she's watching.
Don't forget about the guard.
That's when you know you're not quite big time.
That's right. You don't think you don't think Joe Rogan takes his mom's garbage out?
Oh yeah, he absolutely does in a spaceship.
Yeah, and I don't think he talks about it on his show.
That's funny.
Yeah.
Okay,
but he could if he wanted to at this point.
Sure.
Okay, so we're sitting here dilly dallying over the Steelers rookie numbers. So obviously,
no, I thought it was pretty cool this weekend. I know you guys don't want to talk about it, but anytime Troy Polamalu's in the house, he's in the city with his family. I just think it's big news because he's such a great person. And, he was roasted. Mel Blount does this thing for a fundraiser, and they had a roast, and they honored Troy Polamalu. And the guy is just so gracious. He's just an amazingly humble guy. Like, I think he's one of the best Steelers from that standpoint. And he didn't leave the team on great terms either. But he's just such a good person. He gets beyond that like super quickly. Yeah. And then like to see him up there with like the greats. And then Joey Porter Jr. was actually there, and you could tell like he was like, "Whoa, I'm in a room full of like Hall of Famers." I was surprised to see that. Like, I would think that he would not be enamored by that now.
Yeah. Do you really think I mean, I kind of get it.
But he looks genuine. Like, you can tell when people have that look on their face, like they're like looking at greatness. Right. Like I got that sense like of the pictures that I saw in the video that I saw of him meeting these people, like especially Joe Green. It was just like literally he looked like he was like just totally taken aback. I could see the Joe Green thing because that guy, he's a legend, like from well before he was born. But but he probably met him before. Right. You would think. Yeah. I mean, just growing up with the Steelers, he had to have met those guys
at a barbecue.
By the way, Joey Porter Jr. is wearing 24 in honor of Ike, by the way.
In honor of Ike Taylor?
Yeah, Ike Taylor. I just hope he can catch the ball better than Ike.
Yeah, I would hope
Porter's
so,
24, Benton is 95.
Ooh, 95.
Jeff obviously has the inside track on this, but I would expect that of an Expos fan. I got to bring that up.
Yeah, but Benton wearing 95. I don't know about that. I wouldn't give him 95.
Will we be calling him Lil Peasy through the course of the year?
Lil Peasy?
I don't know. You can call him whatever you want.
Peasy Jr.
I just hope he starts.
What about JPJ?
JPJ?
JP Jr.
JPJ.
That's what I was calling him, JP Jr.
JP Jr.
I might change my tune on him.
That's what I'm saying.
Nice.
There you
Excellent,
go.
Mark.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah, we're relegated to numbers and old guys coming in and getting
I think
making money for charity.
Some teams have their rookie mini camp right now. Are the Steelers having theirs? Or
yeah, there were some pictures of Kenny Pickett handing the ball off to Najee and like a practice thing. But I mean, really, what are they doing? They're just lifting weights and just shooting the shit.
Yeah. This is
good.
This is the dead zone.
Yeah.
We are in the middle of the dead zone.
But they can't really do anything right now. Yeah. I guess the big news, if you want to talk about it, we don't have to talk about it, is the Steelers gave one of their inside guys a vice president job in charge of Acrisure Stadium. And the buzz is that now the Steelers are going to be pushing for another stadium.
Yeah, I heard about that. I don't know how much it affects, the taxpayers and all that kind of stuff. But just that aside, I'd love to see a new Steelers stadium. I think the one they have now, it's not terrible, but it's not good either.
Well, I think most of the stadiums, like, so I've been to Cincinnati's, I've been to Baltimore's, I haven't been to Cleveland's, and I think Cleveland's is on par, I think, with the Steelers. They're all kind of the same. Like they're not terrible, but they're not great venues, just in general. You know what I mean? Like you're not going to a place and being like, wow, this is a great place. I would come here no matter what, because they're all enclosed. I mean, it's not like a baseball park where it's going to be wide open, and like PNC, like you can still see the city,
you can still see the city
from the one side. Yeah, and the river's right there.
Right.
I don't know what you're really looking for. Like when you go to a football game, you're there to do two things: watch football and drink.
Yeah, maybe 3.
Eat.
Yeah, maybe 3.
Maybe 3.
Well, not Steve. Steve's there to do 2 things.
If you're
Beer
single,
is food usually at a
Yeah.
football game for
if you're
most
single,
people.
meet people.
Yeah. Right.
Yeah, I mean, it's a social event, but you're not going there and saying, "Wow, I'm glad I'm sitting in this great stadium."
Oh, I like that kind of party.
I just gotta. It's the dead zone. I gotta play with it. I gotta
You
memorize
definitely
them.
got to do that.
He does like that kind of
But
party.
I don't know. I think you think about it. I mean, how Acrisure Stadium's been around for 20 some years now.
Well, right.
Yeah.
It's at the point where that's
and Three
outdated
Rivers
now.
Stadium was only in function for
30
like
years.
30 years.
Yeah.
So
Right.
I mean, the question is do you upgrade it and then you let it go another 10 years? And the other thing is, where do you put another new stadium?
you know what? I think the issue
Can't put
is
it on the North Shore. There's no more space. over
right.
there.
I think the issue is this. Okay, they're looking at and I went through this here in Pittsburgh when I moved here 30 some years ago, and they wanted to build a new ballpark. They wanted to build a park down on the North Shore for the Pirates, and they used one of the stories was they used the model of Camden Yards in Baltimore. That was the first retro ballpark. It opened in 91, 92.
Mhm.
And they said, hey, look, we're going to put we're going to put this ballpark on the North Shore, and then it's going to bring all this people down like Baltimore. And what they didn't say was, look, Baltimore rebuilt Inner Harbor first, and then they plopped the ballpark in there. Okay. That worked very well. PNC Park, when they plopped it in there, it didn't work that well. Now, a lot of people went to the park. The park was great, but after the season, there was no commercial development up there, real stuff for years afterwards. It worked exactly the opposite they said. Yeah. There is now. Yeah. But the thing about it is now they're doing the same thing we do in Pittsburgh all the time. They're looking at LA. They're looking at Vegas. They're looking at all these incredible. I mean, look, SoFi Stadium is a super cool, I actually think it's a spaceship. And that's where all the rich people are going to go and fly away in when the apocalypse happens. But that's another show. So
not big enough.
It's not. It's really not. But
they need
point
to build
is,
another one in Pittsburgh.
If they think they're going to build one of those things here and it's going to amount to what it amounts to out there, they are smoking crack. Yeah. Okay. This is just not that kind of market.
Right.
That's what it is. Now, I would like to think that the guys that are thinking about this, like this guy you mentioned who's in charge of the stadium,
I think it's Tom McMillan,
whoever the hell he is, I would like to think that they're smarter than me when it comes to this kind of stuff, and they probably are.
I'm sure they are.
Or Kevin Acklin. It's one of those two guys. It's either Tom McMillan or Kevin Acklin.
Whoever it is, we just expanded the casino and put this huge hotel next to it. I mean, come on.
It's cool.
Yeah, it is cool, but it's kind of like, look, it's just it's the amount of people that live here. Okay, here's another one. All right, whenever you go to the international airport, whenever you go to the Pittsburgh airport,
the new one,
10 o'clock. Right, of course, the only one that is really around, not the new one.
Well, they're
building.
Knocking down the old one and they're putting in a new one.
I know.
Think about it. New airport, new stadium. See how it works?
Yeah, I get it. It's
a joint deal.
No, do you know what it is? We ran out of all the bribe money that we stole from you, the taxpayers, and now we have to come up with a new reason to overpay the millionaires out there for nothing. Okay. Yeah. The Pittsburgh International Airport at 10 o'clock at night is a ghost town.
It's empty.
It's a ghost town. The Charlotte Douglas International Airport at 10 o'clock at night is so freaking full you can hardly move. I was just there. I've had this issue in Atlanta, in Charlotte. It's a friend of ours' fault. It's Kyle's.
Come on, Kyle, get fault. On that.
Come on, Delta. Let's go. No, I'm just telling you. So we're going to drop what's going to end up being $2 billion to expand an airport that's empty after 9 p.m. every night. And look, it's not because Pittsburgh sucks. Pittsburgh is great. It's because we are not geographically located. Chicago is less than a 90-minute flight away. That's a huge hub. Charlotte is about an hour flight away. That's a huge hub. Pittsburgh doesn't have to be a hub. It will never be a hub. And so the same thing is going to happen with the stadium. If look, this is wild speculation, of course, but I look at it and go, are you kidding me? I mean, just upgrade the stadium that we have, right? Just upgrade that
Well,
stadium. Make some changes to
It looks pretty bad.
Well, they already have done a lot of upgrades. I mean,
Whatever those things are that keep people from getting wet, they kind of look like umbrellas.
Right.
Those are terrible.
Yeah, on that's where people walk up the ramps.
Right. Yeah, those look cheap.
I agree. I mean, make some upgrades. Make some upgrades. I don't know.
I'd say okay to upgrades.
Yeah.
I wouldn't.
You want a new
say
stadium?
New stadium. Let's do it.
No, I don't care for either of it.
You say leave it the way it is.
I think they should, but they won't because they want to make it relatively newer so they can have more people come.
Right. Well,
because let's face it.
From where?
Oh, dude, people come from all out of town to see the Steelers.
Well, I know, but I mean, what do you mean by more? They don't sell out the stadium now.
Well,
yeah,
that's true.
Technically they do, but it's never.
They sell all the tickets, but
Right.
not everybody comes.
Right.
So that's the thing.
That's what they're thinking.
Well, I don't think they can make the fan experience at the game any better than what it is. You know what I mean? Like, I think people come to the game because they like to watch live. They like to watch it live.
Man.
Like you can see the game much better from up in the 500 level, the whole game.
Right.
Right.
Yeah, I've been there.
If you're a football person, that's the way you want to watch the game. So whether you have a really cool television in front of you or two really big screens you can always look at to see the other games, nobody's really paying attention to that. And that's what I think the Steelers are missing. Like, they don't need to make it any better on the inside. Like, when they first got the stadium, I thought they did a poor job of designing it. Okay?
I did think, as far as the new stadiums went at the time, I was a little disappointed with it. I was kind of like, they just took a high school stadium and made it like supersize.
But
with ketchup bottles. Yeah.
But in the past 20 years, they haven't done anything to even enhance the inside other than put another screen down.
Right.
They enclosed the one end, but they didn't like put up the cool stuff like numbers on the inside or like old Steelers stuff on the inside.
Yeah. Uh-huh.
Like, they didn't do any of that. They could have been doing that all along. Like, every year add something, every year add something, every year add something.
Right.
Now suddenly it's like, oh, well, it's too old. We just have to knock it down and build another. Like, they do this on purpose. They make it terrible when they could have made it better year after year after year. And instead, I think you're right. They just want to take the money and build another stadium because then they can charge more money for tickets. They can charge more for seat licenses and they will make more money off of it. And the taxpayers will foot the bill. Look, when they first did Heinz Field, right?
Right.
They basically put a referendum out there and says, should we use taxpayer money? And the city of Pittsburgh said, no.
Yeah.
We don't want you to use our money. And guess what?
They did anyway.
They did anyways.
Yeah.
So they'll find a way around it. I just think it's interesting that they're starting now. And they're starting with whether it's Tom McMillan or Kevin Acklin, both are political guys. So I think they'll probably get it done because we all know who runs the city and it's not the mayor.
I don't think any mayor runs any city, to be honest with you.
That's a good point.
Yeah.
But especially in Pittsburgh.
Yes, I agree. It's not. It's the and I find it to be very interesting, and I think that it's a multi-year process.
Oh yeah.
So I think
this will take 10 years to get a deal done.
That's what I was getting at.
Yeah.
I think they're gonna say by the time this thing is 30 years old, we're gonna break ground on a new stadium. And honestly, where would you put it?
Well, so the thing is, like, you probably have to put it in the same spot. So where do they play in the meanwhile?
That would be ridiculous. You can't. Where do they play? Pitt doesn't have a stadium.
Well, maybe Pitt will get a stadium out of it.
Yeah, well, they are.
Works.
Yeah, or maybe they'll play at Central Catholic.
Actually, Pitt's like putting in a multi-purpose field. Did you see that?
Yes,
but it's not. It's not a football stadium.
Yeah.
Look at Amy. I want to see black and gold, not black and yellow. It looks like a mustard jar of mustard exploded.
What is she talking about?
The seats are all yellow.
The seats are all yellow.
Oh, yeah. Well, what's that song? Black and yellow, black and yellow, black and yellow.
Yeah, come on.
Right.
It could be either one. It could be either one. Yeah. I don't know about any of that. But I do know that I'm jonesing for some football. So
why don't they just, make it impossible to get down to the stadium? They'll make a new one in a parking lot, and then they'll tear the old one down and make a parking lot.
No, what they'll do is they'll pit the suburbs against the city is what they'll do. They'll say, we'll put it up in Cranberry. More people are moving in there. Stuff
and
like
they got
that.
room.
And they got space up there for sure.
To me, that would be that would actually fall under the category of crimes against humanity.
Yeah, I agree.
Seriously.
No, I agree.
You cannot take the Pittsburgh Steelers.
Well, it's like Buffalo having their stadium in Orchard Park. Like, really?
But how close is that to the city of Buffalo?
It's not.
It's not.
Here's the thing, though. Interesting point of view. A little bit of a comparison.
But it's always been there.
In Philadelphia.
That's true. Yeah.
In Philadelphia, the Sixers want their own stadium. And so there's been a big plan to put them in the middle of Center City. And like right now, all the stadiums are in a sports complex.
Yeah, down in the South.
And it's about 50-50. 50% think it's really cool to have it downtown. And 50%, mainly like people who are coming in from the suburbs are like, no, that's terrible. Like, how are we going to get there? And I'm just thinking if that was sort of applied to Pittsburgh, I bet you a lot of the people who don't live in the city would think it was a great idea.
I don't think so because somebody in Mount Lebanon who's a Steelers fan does not want to drive to Cranberry to watch a Steelers game. They'd much rather drive downtown.
Well,
and vice versa. Somebody in Cranberry, I'm not driving to Mount Lebanon. In Monroeville, I'm not driving to Robinson Township. You know what? It's bad enough I got to drive out that way to go to the airport. So
I think you have this perfect.
You're just showing it, which is why I think they will end up keeping it in the city. You can't. It's sacrilegious to take the Steelers out of the city.
That's how they'll get taxpayer money.
That's true. And full disclosure, we are not predicting anything. We don't know anything.
No,
we're just
like we said, it's a 10-year project.
And we're having just a what if conversation because there's nothing else to talk about when it comes to football right now.
No,
the last thing we'd want to do is lead anybody astray.
Yeah, right. The thing about what you said about the Sixers wanting that stadium in Center City. They could always tear down that rat's nest of a city hall they have there and put up a.
It's only been there since 1776.
One of the most beautiful buildings in the world. You piece of garbage.
There is a lot of garbage around it. There is a lot of garbage around it. I saw a biohazard.
Why don't you
bag
shut your
there.
mouth?
I saw a biohazard bag on the streets of Philadelphia when I was there this past
I'm
weekend.
sure you did. There's no dirt in Pittsburgh, is there?
Yeah.
I have yet to see a biohazard bag.
Not unless it's sitting at this table. There you go.
Hey-o.
There you go.
Hey-o.
Yeah.
Hey-yo.
All right. Okay. Let's table that talk for now and remind you that you're listening to the Sports Porch podcast. And you are currently, if you're watching us live, we do this live on social media all the time on Monday nights at 7:30 Eastern time across all social media. So you can see it everywhere and you can catch the podcast. We encourage you to subscribe to it on the iHeartRadio app, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or anywhere you get your podcasts. Visit our website, theporcheslive.com. I'm only going to say it once this time. And we are grateful to be on American Busker iHeartRadio every Sunday evening at 4 p.m. late afternoon. iHeartRadio has 150 million registered users, 2,000 devices, 260 platforms. And since we're in the dead zone, let's move to the hockey playoffs and hockey Jesus real quick. Give us a little update, HJ.
Man, the playoffs have been nuts. Like, nobody could predict Florida 3-0 over Toronto after 3 games.
No.
That's just ridiculous. Like, Toronto definitely needs a new coach. And let me tell you, if Sullivan doesn't do well, Toronto would love to have him.
Okay.
They would just do so well if that happened because Toronto has probably the best talent left in the league and they just can't score against Florida. It's just I can't even understand it.
Okay, so when Florida rolled over Boston, that went 7 games,
it went
right?
7, yeah.
So
they won the last 3.
Right. So when Florida beat Boston,
so they've won 6 in a row now.
Then Toronto, what was your prediction for that? Because I listened to it, but I can't remember.
I actually thought Toronto was going to pretty much handily beat Florida. I thought the
That's what I
monkey
thought
was
you
off
said.
their back.
Yeah.
And I thought they'd take them like 4-1, I think is what I predicted.
That ain't happening.
Clearly, that's not going to happen. And clearly, Toronto's going to lose this series. I don't think they can come back and win 4 in a row.
Who saw the Kraken?
The Kraken, we'll get to the Kraken in a second.
Kraken.
Let's talk about Carolina and New Jersey Devil. I think this is the series to watch. Look, Carolina plays great structured hockey, and they are what they are. They have no superstars. They're just going to either play really well. They're inexplicably bad on the road. They just are terrible on the road. They can't win a damn home game. Carolina can't.
Okay.
And they got run over by New Jersey last night.
Wait a minute. You just said they can't win a damn home game. You meant a damn road game?
Carolina cannot. Carolina's unbelievable at home. They're
right.
terrible on
they
the road.
Can't win a road game. Okay.
They're terrible on the road. But New Jersey, I think if they can continue what they did last night, I think they'll be in this series, and I think they will. But I just don't think Carolina's going to lose at home. They're just so damn good at home. It's really ridiculous. And then Seattle. Let me get to Seattle and Dallas. Save that one for last.
Okay.
Edmonton and Vegas Golden Knights. They only play 2 games. They play again tonight after the draft lottery. And I think Edmonton's going to start breaking out. Draisaitl's been ridiculous. And Connor McDavid's been playing second fiddle to him, which is ridiculous to say. But I mean, if you've seen some of Draisaitl's goals, he's just a maniac. He's just an unbelievable goal scorer. I mean, just can score from everywhere on the ice. Their power play is lights out. Like when they go on the power play, you're just hoping they don't score 2 goals. They're just that good. And so
how could they score 2 goals on a power play?
They could do it. This power play could do it.
But if you score a goal, isn't the power play over?
Not if it's a 4-minute.
Oh, okay.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm. All right. Well, now
or a
something.
5-minute major.
Okay.
The game's on TV if you want to learn about it.
All right. Thank you. I could probably Google it too, but
I actually think Edmonton's going to break out. I think they're going to take probably the rest of the games against Vegas, but maybe not. I mean, so Vegas's problem is they're just a young team. They've got 3 goalies, which means they have no goalies, and they just need to decide which goalie they want to play. That leads us to Seattle, Dallas. Dallas has been great only because Ottinger has been a fantastic goalie. But when he's off and Seattle somehow is able to get to him, they're terrible. They're just terrible. They can't score enough goals. So the Kraken are up 2-1, but I think Ottinger will show up again. I think he'd be fine. He reminds me of Matt Murray when he would lose a game, he would come back and just be lights out. That's kind of the way Ottinger plays. So we'll see what happens. If Seattle can beat Dallas in the next game, they're definitely going to win the series. But I have a feeling Dallas is going to come back. That one may go 7, but it's going to rely on Ottinger, really, when it comes down to it. So Rupe Hintz, Dallas is he's kind of came out of nowhere. He's been kind of cold. So if he gets started again, I think he'll be fine. They also got Seguin and Jason Robertson, who's kind of a phenom rookie. He's kind of been quiet too, but they're scoring a lot of goals. It's just Seattle scoring more goals. They play a lot like Carolina does, in the sense that Carolina has a system, but Seattle just keeps coming at you. Like they're relentless with the forechecking. That's how they get the puck. They don't have to carry it from their own end the whole way down.
Right.
They get the puck in the zone, and that's why they get a lot of opportunities.
Right.
So they're different. They're different than Carolina in that aspect, but they're really good at it, and they can do it with 4 lines. They can keep rolling. So, and they've been able to do it without Jared McCann, who's their goal scorer. So that's pretty
former
impressive.
Penguin, right? McCann.
Yeah, we don't want to talk about.
Yeah, well, I mean, if you're gonna have to root for somebody, you should root for the Kraken.
I'm rooting for New Jersey. I love the way they play. Like at the end of the game, they won 8-4. They had Jack Hughes and Luke Hughes, their brothers, right? 21 and 19. They're like kids. Like they're interviewing them. I'm like, are they going to give them a piece of candy or something? Because they are so young.
Yeah.
But when you see them out on the ice, they're just incredible.
Yeah.
I mean, they just skate so fearlessly, and they're just so good.
Another example of the tank yielding dividends. Lose for Hughes.
He's right.
That was what they called it.
What the hell is
when
he talking
when
about?
he was the number
When they
one
got
pick.
Jack Hughes, is a number
okay,
one
lose
pick.
for Hughes. Gotcha.
And then,
gotcha.
of course,
All right.
his brother wants to play with him, so he picked to play with New Jersey
Gotcha.
because he's played for like Boston College or somebody like that.
Okay. All right.
So yeah, that's the hockey update. I see Florida being the problem is Florida sweeps Toronto. They're going to sit for a while before
Yeah.
they have to play, and
That's not good.
They could cool off.
Yeah.
They could cool
I'm
off.
never a fan of that. I mean, you always want your team to sweep because it's like, yeah, we're moving on. But then you get that long if the other series that you're waiting for, you know what I mean?
Yeah,
Then you
Florida may just skate around like this next one and just let Toronto take one so they can, just win at
Yeah.
home. Or,
I don't know if I'd let that happen.
Well, 3-0. You can afford to do it in one game, but you can't afford to do it. You can even afford to do it in 2 games.
Yeah.
But you don't want to do it in 3.
What if it was Florida versus the Kraken in the final? Who wins, a Panther or a sea monster?
Nobody will know because nobody will watch.
That's an incredible question.
Nobody's gonna watch
Hey,
that
address-
series. I mean, I'll watch it, but I'll be one of like 5 people
Address
outside
DG's
of Seattle.
address
Probably.
DG's comment here just because.
DG's comment.
Yeah. You can read it there. NHL's first time since 90 to 91, all 3 finalists from the previous season failed to last more than 1 year. The coaches.
This is a curse of the coaching. Like, I think this happens a lot in Calgary too. Like, there have been 2 coaches who have won Coach of the Year, and they've both been fired like within the next year.
Yeah.
It's I don't know. I can't explain it, but the way I can explain it is the team got lucky and they let the coach take the accolades, and the coach had nothing to do with it. You know what I mean?
So yeah, so hockey's like a carousel coaching situation.
Hockey's a quick fire.
Why
sport.
is that? Why is that?
Well, because I think certain coaches have certain styles. Like Sullivan likes to play this, hey, we're fast, play the speed of the puck game. And like his tenure might be done here because they don't have the right people to play that game anymore.
Yeah.
And he doesn't play another game. You know what I mean?
Right.
It's like Tortorella. Like Tortorella is an asshole, right? That's what he is. He's a coach that just says it the way it is.
That's the Flyers coach.
Now,
Yeah,
right.
now. Right.
But like he has a shelf life. Like players don't want to be called an asshole like week in, week out
Right.
for more than a couple years. Like it might be good to turn it around.
Right.
But then after that, it's like, okay, get this guy out of here.
Right.
To put it in the Penguins' perspective, Ivan Halinka, this guy was terrible, but he really like instilled discipline in the young kids that were up there with Malkin and Sid. But he wasn't the guy to take them to the promised land. That's why they brought in Bilesma. Bilesma was a guy who was like, then they already had the discipline in them. He's like, okay, this is how we play the game now.
Gotcha. Gotcha.
So sometimes you need a disciplinarian, sometimes you need a tactician, and sometimes you just need a coach to stay the fuck out of the way. And that's what Sheldon Keefe is not doing.
Right.
Sheldon Keefe has no plan for that Toronto team.
Toronto. Right.
And if he did, they would be kicking the shit out of Florida. But instead, I think Peter DeBoer, I think he's their coach. No, I think I have that wrong. I can't look it up right now. But the coach of Florida, he knows how to coach that team. He's got them going.
Right.
And they're just listening to him, and it's working.
So do you think it's kind of the same thing or a similar situation in the NBA? Because you've got, look, I mean, of course we know that hockey and basketball are 2 drastically different sports, but they are very similar in that you got 5 guys on the ice
and the hardwood.
Right. And and it's a fluid game. Okay. It's a back and forth kind of thing. Turnovers end up in fast breaks. So you've got, do you have this, maybe the same sort of scenario?
I mean, I would say
from a coaching perspective.
Yeah, I mean, I would say in the NBA there is some quick trigger fires as well.
Right.
You'll see people fired mid-season.
I've noticed that. Yeah.
But it's I think it's much like, really, I mean, I think all sports are the same, at least in this perspective, that once the message becomes old and a team is not sort of getting past a certain point, then it's usually time to make a change.
Yeah, and that could apply to Sullivan.
Yeah,
It really could, as much as you'd hate to see that happen.
it could. I mean, he's a good coach, but at the same time, and to be honest, I don't necessarily really think it's his fault, because I think that he can only coach who's out there, and they haven't done a good job of roster construction the past couple of years. But you also have to look at it and you have to say, okay, last 4 years, 3 first-round exits, 1 didn't make the playoffs for the first time in 16, 17 years. What's it got to take to make a change?
And Steve, last question here. We were talking about this on the Philadelphia Sports Porch. Which sport do you think is harder to officiate, hockey or the NBA?
That's a really good question. I would say hockey, just because I think the puck moves a little bit faster. And if you're not in the right position to see it, like to see that puck cross the line,
right?
Freaking forget about it,
Yeah.
man. I mean, it's going much faster. Now, I think in the NBA, it's a little bit more difficult because I think they have more like traveling and stuff like that they just don't call.
That's what we were getting at. We were talking about the Sixers.
Like,
game,
I just
right?
like, but I think like the stuff that's so obvious, like even the shot clock, actually the shot clock doesn't matter on both, because you can slow it down and see the end of a shot, or you can see if the puck goes into the goal before time stops. But yeah, I just think the speed of which the game is played, and plus those sticks cause a lot more havoc than like an elbow does.
Yeah.
So and I think in both sports they both kind of fake, like if somebody gets elbowed, they get touched with an elbow, they'll go boom backwards.
Yeah.
I think it happens too. Like if somebody just gets touched with a stick, like
they're all trying to win an Oscar.
Right.
Yeah. So
but I would agree with that though. I think that hockey is harder. And it's just because I think, to be honest, I think there's such a fine line between what's a penalty and what's not. That's what it really comes down to.
Yeah, I think there's more gray area.
There's a lot more gray area. I mean, you could see the same hit 4 times, and twice it's called a penalty and twice it's not.
Right. Right. And yeah, I agree with that. So I think they're both hard, but I'd give just a slight advantage to the NHL.
Okay, and before we move on to the last segment that we were doing during the Dead Zone, the Pirates, I think, have actually taken a lead for the first time in 7 games.
Oh, and by the way, the Pittsburgh Penguins did not move up. They're going to be drafting in the 14th spot. And also, you'll be happy to know the Philadelphia Flyers were not moving up either. They're in the 7th spot.
So they didn't move up.
Nope.
So when does the Bedard sweepstakes officially begin?
Well, it's down to 3 right now, and of course they had to go to the commercial break. It looks like Chicago is going to get the number 1 pick, which makes sense.
Oh, they're doing the balls right now.
Great. So they'll go from Patrick Kane to Bedard.
They're throwing.
Wait, is that? I don't know if that's true or not. I'm on Twitter, so you can't believe anything you see on Twitter.
That's true.
Okay.
I'll keep.
What do you mean? Elon Musk took over. He was going to make it the most honest platform available to man.
Shut your mouth.
He didn't.
Did you really think about that all day?
All right. Okay. Last segment we're doing.
It does say that Chicago won, by the way. So it looks like Chicago is going to get Bedard.
Is that right?
Yeah.
Unless they decide not to draft him. Then maybe they'll decide they don't.
Maybe they want to trade their first draft pick to the Pittsburgh Penguins.
That would be nice, wouldn't it? Okay.
Call them up.
Pick a page and a card, Schwaber. Page and a number.
What do you 4 7?
There you go. See, it's so easy. All right. So what we're doing here is we're just pulling up some random baseball cards. This here is my high school, not my high school, my younger days baseball card book. See Chris Klein's card book. And what did you say? 4 7, 2 3 4. 1 2 3 4 5 6 7. Oh, you're gonna love this. Okay, so we're going to hand out a baseball card. This is from the Topps 1990 set. These cards are vintage. Don't say anything. Steve, give me a page and a number.
The last page.
The very last page?
The very last card.
Okay, and the very last card. That's You're actually going to get, you're going to get something you like here, the very last page and the very last card.
Yeah, Chicago got the first pick, Anaheim and Columbus.
Okay, and I'm going to take the next to last page and the middle card. Next to last page. No, can't do that. It's not a player. I'm going to take the page before that and the middle card. All right. Okay, this is going to be a clear cut. This is easy. Okay. All right. So what we're going to do is we're going to show you our cards, and we're going to decide who the best player was. Steve, you got.
Oh, I got the Goose.
Rich Gossage. This is the year. What year is on that card?
That's a Hall of Famer.
That's an inaction card.
Inaction card.
Yeah.
And it says 1982 at the bottom.
Yeah. So it's an
82 tops.
82 tops. They did these inaction cards.
Inaction card.
Goose Gossage.
He looks like he's in action.
He's definitely in action. Yeah.
Mhm.
Anything exciting on the back that you remember, Goose?
Let's see. I remember Goose. Everybody remembers Goose.
Sure,
Right?
yeah.
I mean, the nickname alone. He
Yeah.
actually wasn't that great of a pitcher, was he?
Yeah, he
Hall
was
of
pretty
Fame.
good for the
Hall of
Yankees.
Fame.
Yeah, Hall
Has
of
been
Fame.
selected to play in 5 All-Star games during his career.
That's how bad he was.
That's not a lot.
Well,
that was 1982.
That was probably his
Oh, well,
fifth
here.
year.
He was credited with victory for the Yankees in the 3rd game of the 78 American League Championship Series versus the Royals. And he also had a save.
Only a
Oh, that's wild. So
only-
he was
He had a lot of
he was a
saves.
closer.
He was a
He
closer.
was a closer, and he got the win.
Yeah.
yeah,
Wow.
and only a guy from Pittsburgh would not know that Goose Gossage was in the Hall of Fame. I mean, come on now.
That was a bit surprising for me.
Yeah,
I don't care.
yeah, I know you don't care. There's our next soundbite right there. Okay, Schwaber, who do you got?
I got.
I love this one.
The deadly, Brent Mackert.
What?
That's the
Um,
tops. Now, as I always say, Schwaber, that's in mint condition. Don't mess it up.
I won't mess it up.
It is
but
a nice
To
card.
be honest with you, I could spit on this and rip it up 500 times, and you might make money on it.
Yeah, I hope so.
He has never pitched in the major leagues,
Oh,
so
my
I
God.
don't even know why he had a card.
Why did they take his picture?
I have no idea.
How crazy is that?
Filler.
Wasn't too bad though in the minor
Yeah.
leagues. 3 minor league seasons, 24-15, a 3.02 ERA, 218 strikeouts against 96 walks. I guess he must have unfortunately blew out his elbow and never made it to the majors. So sorry, you didn't have a knack for it, Knacker.
Yeah, well, and let's just show that he does look extremely determined, though, to be victorious in some way, shape, or
The
form.
Seattle Mariners were not very good back then.
No.
No.
What I want to know is, does anybody know when Wade Anthony Boggs' rookie year was?
Oh,
Wade Anthony Boggs? God, it
Yeah.
had to have been like,
Wow.
what, 77?
This is a tough one.
I don't know.
I mean, you got 2 Hall of Famers going up against each other.
Ooh.
Boggs is
Yeah.
in the Hall of Fame.
Yeah.
isn't he?
Boggs.
This is
versus
a 91 Don Russ, Wade Boggs, All-Star, Boston Red Sox, third base. If you don't know who Wade Boggs is, then you don't know
Wade
anything
Boggs.
about
You didn't
baseball,
watch Cheers.
and you didn't watch Cheers. Damn, you stole that from me. I don't know.
Yeah, which
Wade Boggs.
basically means if you're under 30, you probably don't know who he is.
Right. So as of get this. Oh, this is Lifetime. This is the All-Star card. I hate this stuff. Lifetime 357, the All-Star game. Wade Boggs at the time was the only player.
1983, by the way.
Thank you. The only player in history to achieve 4 straight 200 hit, 100 walk seasons. 5-time AL batting champion, is also the only player in modern history as of 91 to achieve 200 hits in a season 7 straight times. Led the majors in OBP in 88, 476, 87, 461, and 86, 453. Had a grand slam and triple and 7 RBIs in one game versus the Orioles. Lifetime 346 average, ranks 4th best in Major League history. I'm sorry. Hands down, I got the best card.
Oh, yeah. Boggs definitely better
Wade
than
Boggs.
Goose Gossage.
That's right.
I don't know. I don't know.
You don't think so?
You're going with the
It's-
Goose.
Going
It's
with
up
the
for
Goose.
debate.
You're not going
Going-
with the Goose.
Going
The
with
Goose.
the Goose. Yep.
The
you
Goose
got it.
is
Slap
the Goose
me
is rookie.
silly.
The Goose's rookie card's probably like
Talk to me,
a
Goose.
couple $100. Wade Boggs, mint gem, $2,700.
All right, guys. Listen, we're going to wrap it up. This has been the Sports Porch Pittsburgh. Want to thank you so much for watching us on social media, taking part in the program. We love it. We're going to drop the podcast right after the show on the iHeartRadio app, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, anywhere you get your podcasts. And you can always catch us on theporcheslive.com, theporcheslive.com.
Theporcheslive.com.
And on American Busker iHeartRadio every Sunday, extremely late in the afternoon at 4 p.m.
Let's go, you
iHeartRadio.
devils.
And we will see you guys next week. Bow, bow.
Ba-na-na-na.